What's up, everyone? This is the Next Tape Podcast, episode 210 with Mikel and
Tanyka.
where we have conversations on different topics. So, on today's episode, we're doing another Prime Month special episode. This is our sixth episode of this month. If you want to check the other five, you can go check that out. Tanyka, would you like to recap the next five?
Yep.
Or last five, sorry.
Yeah.
And the
So the first one we did was celebrity activists and the AIDS epidemic, and we talked about celebrities that also live with HIV. The second one we did was the gay rights movement. The third was the real story behind the movie Philadelphia. The fourth was the upstairs lounge. Fifth was Fire Island. We've actually done 6 episodes, and our 6th one was the first ever gay pride parade. And now we're on number 7. And
nice.
we are doing the Pulse Nightclub mass shooting. Now, like I mentioned last week, this week's topics are going to be a lot darker than last week's, for example. So that's where we're going to be, in a place
Okay.
of darkness. But yeah,
So yeah, we done 6 so
we've done
far?
6.
Okay, my
Yeah,
apologies. So we're on number 7.
we're on
Okay,
number
so
7, and
alright.
we're basically doing around 6, and I think we have 3 more, so we're doing 9 episodes for our Prime Month series this year. So yeah, ready to get into it?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, all right.
Alright, go ahead.
So Pulse Nightclub.
Mhm.
So on June 12th, 2016, 29-year-old Omar Mateen shot and killed 49 people and wounded 58 more in a mass shooting at Pulse, which was a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida, obviously in the States. Pulse was hosting a Latin night, and most of the victims were of Latino descent. So that's an extra layer of sadness. In a 911 call made shortly after the shooting began, Mateen swore allegiance to the leader of ISIS. That part I didn't know. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. That's the name of the dude. I've heard of him before. And said the U.S. killing of Abu Wahib in Iraq the previous month triggered the shooting. That just... Wow, okay. He later told a negotiator he was out here right now because of the American-led interventions in Iraq. Sound familiar? And in Syria, and that the negotiator should tell the United States to stop the bombing. The incident was deemed a terrorist attack by FBI investigators. Orlando police officers fatally shot Mateen after a 3-hour standoff. The shooting was the deadliest terrorist attack in the United States since the September 11th attacks, and the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history until the 2017 Las Vegas shooting. So the thing that I remember with Pulse and then the Las Vegas shooting is it felt like it was so close together, but it's actually 5 years apart.
Right.
But it feels like it's so close together. And Las Vegas shooting, it feels like that was only like a few years ago, but truly it's been almost 10 years. Insane. Okay. Anyways, enough of that. Let's talk about the shooting itself. So on June 11th, 2016, Pulse. So this is 2016. Yeah, it's 2016. So it's a year. So we're close together. It's a year apart. Okay.
Yeah.
So on June 11th, 2016, 2016, Pulse, a gay nightclub in Orlando, was hosting, as I mentioned, Latin Night, a weekly Saturday night event drawing a primarily Latino crowd. RuPaul's Drag Race contestant and drag queen Kenya Michaels is recorded to have been performing right as the shooting began. Michaels did survive the shooting. About 320 people were still inside the club, which was serving last call drinks at around 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on June 12th. At around the same time, Omar Mateen arrived at the club via rental van, parking it in the parking lot of a neighboring car shop. He got out and walked toward the building armed with a SIG SAR MCX, which was a
mm,
semi-automatic rifle, and a 9mm Glock 17, so semi-automatic pistol, so he had two guns on him.
mm,
He was wearing a green, blue, and white plaid dress shirt. Oh, wow. A white t-shirt underneath, and tan cargo pants. At
mm,
2:02 a.m., Mateen bypassed Officer Adam Gruler, who was a uniformed off-duty Orlando Police Department officer working extra duty as a security guard, which most of them have to do, entered the building through its southern entrance and began shooting patrons. Dozens were killed or severely injured inside the crowded nightclub, either directly or by ricochets. Gruler took cover and called in a signal for assistance. He told a
mm,
post incident police foundation assessment team that he had immediately recognized that his handgun would be severely disadvantaged against the rifle Mateen was using. When
mm,
he witnessed Mateen shooting two patrons attempting to escape through an emergency exit, Gruler fired shots at him. In response, Mateen withdrew back into the nightclub and continued shooting victims as he traversed through the building, sometimes firing into bodies without checking whether they were already dead.
mm,
When additional officers arrived at the nightclub beginning at 2:04 a.m., Gruler shouted, quote, "The gunman's in the patio." And that's the security, well, officers, not security guard, and
mm,
resumed firing at Mateen a minute later. Two officers joined Gruler in engaging Mateen, who then retreated farther into the nightclub and began a hostage situation in one of the bathrooms. In less than 5 minutes, Mateen had fired approximately 200 rounds, pausing only to reload. So this guy came fully prepared
mm.
for what he was doing.
Right.
During the shooting, some of the people trapped inside the club sought help by calling or sending text messages to friends and relatives. Initially, some of them thought the gunshots were firecrackers or part of the music. Imran Yusuf, a recently discharged Marine Corps veteran working as a nightclub bouncer, immediately recognized the sounds as gunfire, which he described as high caliber,
Mhm,
and jumped over a locked door behind which dozens of people were hidden and paralyzed by fear.
mm,
Then opened a latch door behind them, allowing approximately 70 people to escape. Many described a scene of panic and confusion caused by the loud music and darkness. I can't, okay, it's the music for me. The darkness is to be expected in a nightclub, obviously, so you can't see properly what is happening around you. But
right.
then the music is like, uh, and it's loud and man,
How
like,
I in what terms of the is the music loud? Like, is it, like,
well, have you
really.
been like, I mean, even if you haven't been to a club, like, did you ever go to our high school dances?
Yeah, I have been to high school dances,
So,
yes.
like when you're in a high school dance, the music is loud, so
Mhm,
loud that it's, vibrating the floor and it's dark. So, not like it wasn't fully dark, but you could see in front of you. But,
yeah,
at a club, it's even darker than that. And you could have like flashing lights and everything. So, the loud music, it's more about an auditory thing. It's about the fact that, like, and I think it's different for everybody, but
mhm,
when there's music, whether it's playing on repeat or it's loud
mhm,
music
mhm,
or
mhm,
whatever, the type of music that's playing, it's it adds this weird eeriness to the situation, and then when you're in it and this loud music is pumping in your ears, you can't see in front of you, you can't
right,
hear around you
right,
properly. What you think might be a part of the song might actually be gunfire.
mhm,
Like, they literally have no control over what is happening in their surroundings. But, loud music is meant to be fun. It's supposed to be dancing, having a good time, maybe making out with someone you just met or whatever, just having fun, right?
Mhm.
And music can be an amazing accompaniment in that moment. Then when you have this person coming into what is supposed to be a safe space, like what we talked about with the upstairs lounge, it's supposed to be a safe space for this community, and you have literally no control, like like over what is happening. Similar to like the Las Vegas, because we talked about it very briefly, Las Vegas shooting. Same thing. It's like people are going there. It's a community of people who love country music, going and having a good time, and then here's this person even, like, not even worse, I'm not saying worse, it's all freaking horrible, but, like, in that situation, it's this person who's shooting from a hotel, and he has like, literally, he's like a sniper, and you don't know where it's coming from, where is safe, and you're literally just a sitting duck in that situation. I will never understand people who think, like, this is okay. And then with this Pulse nightclub, it's like it's because it has that terrorism aspect to it, kinda like with the bombing at the Boston Marathon back in,
Mhm.
what was that, 2013.
Mhm.
It's it's just like, I get it. You have an allegiance, and that's fine, but I will never understand. It's not fine, mind you, but I'll never understand people who wanna just take out people just because you pled allegiance to some up individuals. As
Mhm.
I will never get it. I don't want to, but, like, I'll
Right.
never get it. And the reason why I'm kind of, like, biting my tongue at some of the things I'm reading is because here's a person who's, like, doing this because of bombings that are happening in Iraq. And here we are in the same freaking situation, not even a decade later. And it just makes you think of like, what if something like that could happen then because of those bombings, what could happen now when there's a war that never should have happened in Iraq? Like, well, not Iraq, that's a different place, I think. Iran, that's in Iran. But
Mhm. Mhm.
still, it's just the same idea. It's just like
Right.
it's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. You're
Anyways,
right. Yeah.
let's get back to it. Where was I? So, um, may I describe a scene of panic? I'm trying to find the last place I was at here. Okay, approximately 7 people. So, may I describe a scene of panic and confusion caused by the loud music and darkness. One person shielded herself by hiding inside a bathroom and covering herself with other people's bodies. A bartender said she took cover beneath the glass bar. At least one patron decided to help those who were hit. According to a man trapped inside a bathroom with 15 other patrons, Mateen fired 16 times into the bathroom though the closed door, through the closed door, killing at least two and wounding several others. According to one of the hostages, Mateen entered a bathroom in the nightclub's northwest side and opened fire on the people hiding there, wounding several. The hostage, who had taken cover inside a stall with others, was injured by 2 bullets and struck with flying pieces of a wall hit by stray bullets. Shortly after entering the women's restroom, Mateen's rifle jammed. He then discarded the rifle and switched to his Glock 17 pistol. Two survivors quoted Mateen as saying, quote, "I don't have a problem with black people." Oh, what? What does that
Yeah.
even mean?
It's kind of racist.
Well, of course. But it's
Yeah.
like, okay, wait. So thank you, sir. You don't have problem with black people, but you clearly have problem with Latino people.
Mhm.
So I don't know why black people are being listen. I'm very confused.
Mhm.
I'm sure there was black people there. And again, Latin Latino people don't just mean you look like what you know what I mean, right? You
Yeah.
look a certain way. Black people are Latino, white people are Latino. The Latino is not a race per se. It's,
Yeah.
it's just a type of same thing with Caribbean people,
Mhm,
or
mhm,
let's even say this, Jamaican people. Yes, predominantly Jamaicans are Black, but we're not the only ones. There are white Jamaicans, there are Chinese Jamaicans, there are Indian Jamaicans, there are all kinds of different Jamaicans. I just, you don't have a problem with the Black. I'm just very confused by saying something like that. Does that mean you spared the Black people? I'm just, okay. Because I thought you were homophobe. I didn't even think, I mean, racism, sure, fine. But,
mhm,
sir,
mhm,
I just figured you were a homophobe. So, I,
mhm.
okay. But anyways, um,
Mhm,
so he said that,
mhm,
and that he wouldn't stop his assault until America stopped bombing his country. Okay. Other survivors heard Mateen claim he had explosives as well as snipers stationed around the club. No, he didn't. I mean,
mhm,
not putting past that he could have had bombs. It's not. I don't think it's hard to make a bomb,
mhm,
if you
mhm,
have any form of smarts about you.
mhm,
But he didn't have snipers. That part is. Patrons trapped inside called or text 911 to warn of the possible presence of explosives.
mm,
So as for the emergency response, because we did say cops are here, so where are the cops?
huh,
Over the next 45 minutes, about 100 officers from the OPD and the Orange County Sheriff's Office were dispatched to the scene. Among the earliest first responders to arrive were a firefighter crew from Fire Station 5 and two supporting firefighter paramedics from Fire Station 7.
mhm,
80, 80, wait, 80 fire. 85, I think, is what was supposed to say here. And emergency medical services personnel from the Orlando Fire Department were deployed during the entire incident. At 2:09 in the morning, several minutes after the gunfire began, the club posted on its Facebook page, quote, "Everyone get out of Pulse and keep running." At 2:22 a.m., Mateen placed the 911 call during which he mentioned the Boston Marathon bombers. Did not just bring them up. I didn't mean to. I didn't
mhm,
think they were going to be brought up here, but here we are. I'm not gonna say their names because who gives a shit, but those 2 dum-dums, those 2 brothers, so as his quote unquote "homeboys," okay, one's dead, sir, the other one's in prison, but okay, and made a reference to Manar Muhammad Abu Salha, think as I say it,
mhm,
an American citizen who died in a suicide, bombing in Syria in 2014, so
mhm,
only 2 years prior to this.
mhm,
Mateen said he was inspired by Abu Salha's death for the al-Nusra front targeting Syrian government troops, which was a mutual enemy of the two Salafist groups, despite their history of violence with each other, and swore allegiance to ISIS leader al-Baghdadi, as I've just mentioned.
right,
The FBI said that Mateen and Abu Salha had attended the same mosque and knew each other casually.
mm,
Mateen made 2 other 911 calls during the shooting. Numerous 911 calls were made by the patrons inside the nightclub around the time. Um, After the initial rounds of gunfire between Mateen and Gruler, 6 officers shot out a large glass window and followed the sound of shooting to the bathroom area. When Mateen stuck his head out from one of the bathrooms, at least 2 officers shot at him. After the gunfire stopped, they were ordered to hold position instead of storming the bathroom, according to one of the officers. Why? After
mhm,
about 15 to 20 minutes, SWAT arrived and had that might be why. SWAT arrived and had the officers withdraw as the officers were not really in tactical gear. SWAT
mhm,
is.
mhm,
That's a different situation, which you know what? I get it. So I'm with them.
mhm,
SWAT then took over the operation. When asked why the officers did not proceed to the bathroom and engage Mateen, Orlando Police Chief John Mina said it was because Mateen, quote, went from an active shooter to a barricaded gunman and had hostages, which, I mean, ask the question. That's your job, I guess, as media potentially. But I
mhm,
totally understand why they hung back while SWAT did the rest.
Mhm.
This is what they train for. So,
Right. Okay.
um,
Hmm.
he also noted if he had continued shooting, our officers would have went in there. At that time, the last shot in Mateen was fired between 2:10 a.m. and 2:18 a.m.
Mm.
Rescues of people trapped inside the nightclub commenced and continued throughout the night. Because so many people were lying on the dance floor, one rescuing officer demanded, "If you're alive, raise your hand." By 2:35 a.m., police had managed to extract nearly all of the injured from the nightclub. Those who remained included the hostages held by Mateen in the bathroom, as well as a dozen people who were hiding inside dressing rooms. At 2:45 a.m., Mateen called News 13 of Orlando and said, quote, "I'm the shooter. It's me. I am the shooter. You need to say it twice? God, sorry."
Mhm.
He then said he was carrying out the shooting on the behalf of ISIS, and began speaking rapidly in Arabic. Mateen
Well,
also said the shooting was triggered by a U.S.-led bombing strike in Iraq that killed Abu Wahib, who was an ISIS military commander, on May 6th.
mhm.
So, yeah, okay. A crisis negotiator was present as Mateen was held up inside and holding hostages. Officers initially believed he was armed with a suspicious device that posed a threat, so they're probably thinking that could be a bomb. But it was later revealed to be a battery that fell out of an exit sign or smoke detector.
Mhm.
Um, Police hostage negotiators spoke with Mateen by telephone 3 times between 2:48 a.m. and 3:27 a.m. Sorry, 3:27 a.m. He
Right.
claimed during one of the calls that he had bombs strapped to his body. He also claimed that he had a vehicle in the parking lot with enough explosives to take out city blocks. At 3:58 a.m., the OPD publicly announced the shooting and confirmed multiple injuries. At 4:21 a.m., 8 of the hostages escaped after police had removed an air conditioning unit from an exterior wall. At approximately 4:29 a.m., Mateen told negotiators that he planned to strap explosive vests similar to those used in the November 2015 Paris attacks to 4 hostages, strategically place them in different corners of the building, and detonate them in 15 minutes.
Hmm.
OPD officers then decided to end negotiations and prepare to blow their way in. It's about goddamn time. At around 2:30 a.m., Mateen's wife, because yes, y'all, he's married. Of course he is. Jesus Christ. It's just it's just like now the Boston bombers, not both of them were not married. It was just the older brother that was married. And listen, I'll stand here on my 10 toes. That wife knew what those two were gonna do. You can't convince me that she didn't. There's no way that these two were I think they pretty much suspect pretty out there in the open with what their plans were gonna be. You
Mhm.
can't tell me that you did not know what those 2 were gonna do. Don't buy it. And he had kids too. Like, it's okay. I'm just again, what's wrong with us? This is why aliens hate us. This is why they won't come down. Listen, whether I believe in aliens for real, I don't know. I do believe there's life on other planets. But if there is aliens, this is why. We're stupid. Okay. So, back to this.
Mhm.
Um, yes, so Mateen's wife. After receiving a call from her mother at approximately 2 a.m. asking where her husband was, sent a text message to Mateen asking where he was. Mateen texted back asking her if she had seen the news. After she replied no, question mark, Mateen responded, "I love you, babe."
Hmm.
This is when if if I had to have a choice of what I wish my husband was doing, and I was
Mhm.
given option 1, cheating,
Mhm.
option 2, I don't know, lying about me doing something that I wouldn't like, doesn't matter, whatever, or 3, causing mass destruction in a club that had nothing to do with him. I would take the cheating. I can forgive that more so than you shooting up an entire nightclub.
Hmm,
But okay. So yeah, he says he loved her great. According to one source, she texted him back at one point saying that she loved him. She also called him several times during the standoff, but he did not answer. She found out about what was happening at 4 a.m. after the police told her to come out of her house with her hands up. They're probably thinking like she's involved too. So let's see where this is gonna go. Um,
mm,
a survivor of the shooting recalled Mateen saying he wanted the United States to stop bombing his country. The FBI said Mateen told a negotiator to tell America to stop bombing Syria and Iraq, and
mhm,
that was why he was out here right now. During the
mm.
siege, Mateen made internet searches on the shooting while police dispatched a tactical robot to discreetly enter the restroom and allow them to communicate with hostages via two-way audio. The FBI reported that no shots were heard between the time Mateen stopped exchanging gunfire with the first responders and 5:02 a.m. So again, imagine this started in the early part, I think it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. It is
Mm.
now, they said nothing's going on from that point to, or 2:18, I think, to about 5:02 in the morning. This has been going on for 3 hours.
Wow.
And those hostages have been in there for the last 3 hours.
Hmm.
I mean, think of it. In situations like that,
So
3 minutes is too long.
so did the police arrive yet, or did
Yeah,
they?
they're there. They're
Okay.
there. They're getting
Um,
people out that they can't get out, which they've done. But because he now has hostages, they can't just storm into the bathroom because he's barricaded
mm,
himself in there with them. So
mm,
he can't they can't just storm in there because what's gonna happen is he's either gonna shoot them or he's gonna shoot himself. So they obviously have, or both. So they have to make sure they're doing this in such a way where they're keeping those
professional.
hostages
Sorry.
safe,
Safe and okay. Professional.
right?
Also, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's their main goal here, is
Mm,
to reason with him and, you know,
I
try
see.
to appease his human side,
I,
if he has a human side,
yeah.
and keep them safe.
Okay. I see.
So, at least they responded very quickly,
Uh-huh.
and I think they seem to be handling this really well.
Mhm.
Not like, I know I've talked about this case before, but not like over here where we had that Greyhound bus incident that was many years ago now,
Right.
um, where that man who was ill, don't get me wrong, he was mentally ill, he was schizophrenic,
Uh,
killed this person who he had no affiliation with,
uh-huh.
and they left him in the bus with his body for what was it? Like 4 hours, I think?
Mhm.
And they wouldn't go in there and, like, stop him from, trigger warning from what I'm about to say, for this is disgusting, but
Yeah.
they weren't stopping him from cannibalizing this
Yeah.
man's body.
Yeah.
4 hours. So, I will give it to Orlando police, they're actually doing the Lord's work here and actually doing their job. Not like the mounted police who just sat there and was like, "Oh, I don't know
Mm,
what to do." Now how
yeah.
about go get the man's body? So when time comes, his father can identify his body instead of being told, "You can't because there's nothing left." I should have done trigger warning again.
Yeah.
That case haunts me, like,
Yeah.
anyway,
I heard about that years ago.
yeah,
That was yeah. Yeah.
when
So
when
crazy.
we had a case, kind of, I guess you would call it like a case study of it when
Uh-huh.
I was in school,
Uh-huh.
we were doing psychology in law. That I believe I was in my 2nd year of college,
Mhm.
I think. No, I wasn't 2nd year. It was my 3rd year of college because it
Mm.
was in 2012. Because I remember that's when my family member was murdered, and it was 2012. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it was
Uh-huh.
2012, and it had to have at least been, like, 2 or 3 years prior to that happened.
Yeah.
So, it's been a while. Um,
Yeah.
he's out, right?
He's out.
Yeah.
Is he in
he was in a he never he
Oh,
was found not guilty,
okay.
due to insanity, or
Right.
whatever the terminology is,
Uh-huh.
that we have here in Canada, and, so he was in a mental hospital. He was released a few years ago.
So,
Um,
does he have to do any, like, probation or any
he's probably
protection?
on some form of probation. I don't know because I once I heard that he was released, I'm like, "Good God, like, we had to do a little
Uh-huh.
bit better here," because at the end of the day, yes, he was schizophrenic. Yes, he wasn't taking his medication,
Yep.
but he killed someone
Mhm.
and cannibalized his body and his and an organ. We'll leave it at that. You can, if you wanna know which organ, you can do your research.
Sure.
Um, but and the other day, he still did all of that.
Mm,
How I think he has to be very closely monitored to make sure that he is taking his medication. Like, he can't get away without taking his medication kinda thing, but I think obviously with him being on medication, that should help, like, regulate him, and hopefully nothing like that will ever happen again. But
mhm.
yeah, I mean, it's still scary. It's kind of like the lady who stabbed the other lady in Shoppers.
Right.
She was also mentally ill, and she was left to on her own devices despite the fact that, people around her knew she was unwell, and
Mhm.
she is out and free herself, and it's like, again, I get it, you're mentally ill, but she did the same thing. She had medication that she wasn't taking. So how can I trust that you're gonna continue taking your medication and that something like that isn't gonna happen again?
Mm.
We try to give these people the benefit of the doubt who have these mental illnesses when they commit these crimes, but at the same time, it's like, "But what about my safety?"
Right.
Um,
I hear what you're saying.
yeah. But anyways,
Mm,
that's a little Canadian crime here.
mhm,
So, let's
mhm,
move on.
mhm, mhm,
Um, so where am I here? So yeah, 502. When Orlando police began breaching the building's wall. So they're trying to get in. Just before the breach, Mateen entered a woman's bathroom where the hostages were hiding and opened fire, killing a man who sacrificed his life to save the woman behind him and at least one other, according to witnesses. So, this is probably why they're breaching the wall, because for the past 3 or so hours now, there hasn't been any shooting. Now they're shooting this. We're getting in there.
huh,
But someone else had to lose their life before that happened, so
mm,
which I don't particularly like that. At 5:07 AM, 14 SWAT officers, after failing to blow open a big enough hole in the bathroom's exterior wall using a bomb due to the wall structure, successfully breached the building when a policeman drove a Bearcat, don't know what that is, but I'm assuming big, armored vehicle through a wall in the northern bathroom. They then used two flashbangs to distract Mateen and shot at him. The breach drew Mateen out into the hallway, and at 5:14 a.m., he engaged the officers. He was shot 8 times and killed in the resulting shootout, which involved at least 11 officers who fired about, ready for it, 150 bullets.
oh, wow.
God damn. Was there
That's
Sorry, I'm gonna
crazy.
get graphic with my next comment. Was there any
Yes.
of him left?
Mm,
150 bullets?
mm,
Holy, I mean, karma's a bit, but yes, that is insane. Um, wow, okay. So, he was reported down, meaning dead, at 5:17 AM. His autopsy report revealed that he was not drunk during the time of the shooting,
mhm,
and he was hit once in the head out of the 150 bullets, only one time in the head. That is insane.
wow.
Um, 3 times in the torso and 4 times in the leg. So it appears, with my math, that is 8 bullets hit him out of the 150. Okay, so 11 officers who are shooting at him. I think y'all need to go back to the shooting range because you suck.
Mm,
How do you miss your target that much when it's 100 like
yeah.
11 of you doing it and 150 bullets at once? That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yep.
Anyway, it's fine. You still got him. It's fine. At 5:05 a.m., the police said a bomb squad had set off a controlled explosion. At 5:53 a.m., the Orlando police posted on Twitter, quote, "Pulse shooting. The shooter inside the club is dead." 30 hostages were freed during the police operation. The survivors were searched by police for guns and explosives. All right, so let's get into the casualties. 49 people died in the incident, plus Mateen. No one gives a about him. And another 58 were injured, 53 by gunfire and 5 by other causes. Some survivors were critically injured. Um,
Mm,
so more so now into the fatalities. So 39, including Mateen, were
mhm,
pronounced dead at the scene and 11 at local hospitals. Of the 38 victims to die at the scene, 20 died on the stage area and dance floor, 9 in the nightclub's northern bathroom, 4 in the southern bathroom, 3 on the stage, 1 at the front lobby, and 1 out on a patio. At least 5 of the dead were not killed during the initial volley of gunfire by Mateen, but during the hostage situation in the bathroom. Pulse was hosting, as I just mentioned already, the Latin night. Over 90% of the victims were of Hispanic background, and half of those were of Puerto Rican descent. 4 Dominican and 3 Mexican nationals were also among the dead. An off duty United States Army reserve captain at the club, who was not in uniform, was also killed. The attack was the deadliest mass shooting by a single shooter in United States history. Until the 2017 Las Vegas shooting, which we've said was about a year later, it is also the deadliest incident of violence against lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in the history of the United States, surpassing the 1973 upstairs lounge arson attack, which we talked about last week, I believe. So we already mentioned it. You can listen
yeah.
to it if you haven't yet.
Yeah. That's right.
And the deadliest terrorist attack in the United States since the September 11th attacks in 2001.
Hmm.
The names and ages of the victims killed were confirmed by the city of Orlando after their next of kin had been notified. So, we're going to go into the names and their ages. Okay. So, Stanley Almodovar, sorry if I said the name wrong, the third, he was 23.
Mm,
Amanda Elvire, she was 25. Oscar A. Aracena Montero, he was 26. Rodolfo A. So, because I'm also dealing with Latin names here, so bear with me.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
Alia, I believe, he was 33.
Right.
Alejandro Barreros Martinez, he was 21, a baby. Martin Benitez Torres, he's 23.
Mhm,
Sorry,
mhm,
33.
mhm,
Antonio D. Brown, he was 30. Daryl R. Burt II, 29. Jonathan A. Camua Vega, 24. Angel L. Candelero Pedro, 28. Simon A. Carrillo Fernandez, 31. Juan Chavez Martinez, 25. Luis
hmm,
D. Condi, 39. Corey J. Connell, 21. Tevin E. Crosby, 25. Frankie J. De Jesus Velasquez, 50. Dina,
mhm,
I think is Dianca D. Drayton, 32. Mercedes M. Flores, 26. Peter O. Gonzalez Cruz, 22. Juan R. Guerrero, 22. Paul T. Henry, 41. Frank Hernandez, 27. Miguel A. Horantaro, I think it's Honrotaro, 30.
mhm,
Javier Jorge Reyes, 40.
mhm,
Jason B. Josephat,
Mhm.
19. 19.
Mhm.
Eddie J. Justice, 30. Anthony L. Lorino Disla, 25. Christopher A. Leononen, 32. Brenda L. Marquez McCool, 49. Jean C. Mendez Perez, 35. Acria Monette Marie, 18. Kimberly Morris, 37. Jean C. Nieves Rodriguez, 27. Luis Ocasio Capo, 20.
Mhm.
Geraldo A. Ortiz Jimenez, 25. Eric Ivan Ortiz Rivera, 36.
Mhm.
Joel Rayon Panagura, 32. Enrique L. Rios Jr., 25. Juan P. Rivera Velasquez, 37. Ilmari Rodriguez Sullivan, 24. Christopher J. San Feliz, 24. Xavier Emmanuel Serrano Rosdo, 35.
Mhm.
Gilberto Ramon Silva Menendez, 25. Edward Sotomayor Jr., 34. Shane E. Tomlinson, 33.
Right.
Leroy Valentin Fernandez, 25. Louis S. Vilma, 22.
Mhm.
Louis Daniel Wilson Leon, 37. Harold A. Wright, 31.
Mhm.
And those are the fatalities.
Okay.
Autopsies of the 49 dead were completed by the Orange County Medical Examiner's Office by June 14th, and their results were released in early August. According to the autopsy reports, many of the victims were shot multiple times in the front or side and from a short distance. More than a third were shot in the head, and most had multiple bullet wounds and were likely shot more than 3 feet, so not very far away. In total, there were over 200 gunshot wounds.
Mhm.
Injuries. Many of the injured underwent surgery. Most of them, 44 people, were taken to the Orlando Regional Medical Center, the primary regional trauma center 3 blocks away. 12 others went to Florida Hospital Orlando. 9 of ORMCs, so that is the Orlando Regional Medical Center, patients died there. So
Mhm.
many of them, or sorry, 9 of them died there. And
Mhm.
by June 14th, 27 remained hospitalized, with 6 in critical condition. ORMC performed 76 surgeries on 35 patients. The last of the injured was discharged from ORMC on September 6th. So July, August. So that's about 3 months after the shooting. um, 3 Colombians and 2 Canadians were among the injured. Additionally, a responding SWAT officer received a minor head injury when a bullet hit his Kevlar helmet, but I think he'll be fine. Um, so I guess if we have to talk about the perpetrator to understand what happened here, I guess we'll have to do it. So the gunman was identified, as we've been talking about, as 29-year-old Omar Mateen, who was an American born in New Hyde Park, New York. His parents were Afghans, and he was raised Muslim. At the time of the shooting, he lived in an apartment complex in Fort Pierce, Florida, 117 miles from the Pulse Nightclub in Orlando. Mateen's body was buried in the Muslim cemetery of South Florida near Healy Gardens.
Mhm.
I don't think anyone should know where he's buried, but because that would
Yeah.
desecrate the hell out of that grave, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, his personal life. So, from October 2006 until April 2007, Mateen trained to be a prison guard, of all things, for the Florida Department of Corrections. As a probationary employee, he received an administrative determination not involving misconduct, upon a warden's recommendation after Mateen joked about bringing a gun to school.
Oh, wow.
That was a red
Wow.
flag.
Yeah.
Mateen unsuccessfully pursued a career in law enforcement, failing to become a Florida State Trooper in 2011 and to gain admission to a police academy in 2015. Sounds like it might be more that he hated his life than his country was being bombed. Just say,
Hmm.
that's all. Okay. Um, According to a police academy classmate, Mateen threatened to shoot his classmates at a cookout in 2007, quote, after his hamburger touched pork in violation of Islamic dietary laws, which fine, totally get it. But that's an extreme response. Just get another burger that hasn't touched pork. Problem solved. Wow. Anyways, other witnesses said that they saw Mateen drink alcohol and even get drunk. So much for Islamic dietary rules and because they're not supposed to drink alcohol. That's all. They're not supposed to drink at all. It's
Hmm.
against Islamic rules.
Yeah.
Anyways, since 2007, he had been a security guard for G4S Secure Solutions. My dad worked there here in Canada. Anyways, the company said two screenings, um, one conducted upon hiring and the other in 2013, has raised no red flags. He's good. He's squeaky clean, I guess.
Mhm.
Mateen held an active statewide firearms license and an active security officer license, had passed a psychological test, that's shocking, and had no criminal record, also kind of shocking.
Mm.
Um, After the shooting, the psychologist who reportedly evaluated and cleared Mateen for his firearms license in 2007 by G4S records denied ever meeting him or having lived in Florida at the time. Hmm. And said she had stopped her practice in Florida since January 2006. So either she's lying or he's
Mhm.
lying. I was going to say wild guess here. He's the liar.
Mm.
G4S admitted Mateen's form had a clerical error and clarified that he had instead been cleared by another psychologist from the same firm that bought the wrongly named. Where am I here? Sorry, 1 second. Wrongly named doctor's practice. This doctor had not interviewed Mateen, but evaluated the results of a standard test used in the screening he undertook before being hired. G4S was subsequently fined for lapses in its psychological testing program. Sounds about right.
Hmm.
In 2009, Mateen married his first wife, who left him after a few months. The couple's divorce became final in 2011. Following the nightclub attack, she said Mateen was mentally unstable and mentally ill, and obviously disturbed, deeply, and traumatized. Was often physically abusive, and had a history of using steroids. His autopsy revealed signs of long-term and habitual steroid use. So more toxicology tests were ordered for confirmation. As of July 15th, 2016, federal investigators were uncertain whether Mateen's steroid use was a factor in the attack. Well, he could have had roid rage, but again, I
Mhm.
feel like people who have roid rage don't do what this guy did. Like, they
True.
just don't.
Yeah.
Um, at the time of the shooting, Mateen was married to his second wife and had a young son. So this guy also had a kid. Great. In September 2016, an imam for a mosque in Kissimmee released video footage showing what appeared to be Mateen on June 8th, 4 days before the shooting, praying for about 10 minutes. The imam said Mateen was praying there with his wife and child and had no verbal exchanges with any of the other attendants. Though the FBI was already in possession of the mosque security recordings, the video footage was released to the public only after a series of bombings or bombing attempts in New York and New Jersey and a mass stabbing at a Minnesota shopping mall in September 2016. So my question is, I don't know what the relevance is on
Mhm.
watching him pray for 10 minutes. Um, I can't speak on if that's excessive, only because so from what little I've learned from watching 90 Day Fiancé, because y'all, it is still the learning channel.
Mhm.
In Islamic faith, you tend to, I believe, pray, I think it's 5 different times throughout the day. Um, and you go through the ritual of you have to, I can't remember the terminology of this. I think it's called wudu or wadu, where you have to cleanse yourself before you pray. For example, women, if you're on your cycle, you can't go to mosque because you're quote unquote dirty. Um, and like those are the kind of things. Now, with the actual length of praying, I think it can go longer than 5 minutes. I've heard 5 minutes at a time,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I think it can go longer. To me, 10 minutes during one session of praying doesn't sound excessive to me. Again, I'm not Islamic, so I can't speak on that, but I don't think that's crazy. I mean, it might be excessive, but I don't think it's crazy excessive. But my point is not to give this guy anything because he doesn't deserve it. I just don't know the relevance of showing that when talking about completely separate mass shootings that had nothing to do with what he did. And I don't know the reasons around those other attacks, we'll say attacks. I don't know if they rang the same reasons that Mateen was saying that he was doing it. So I'm just curious as to the relevance. And then, like,
Mhm.
what was the point? Like, what was the end goal of showing that? Is it to kind of, again, put the Islamic faith in this cloud of suspicion that they have been dealing with since 9/11 um,
Right.
because of choices of people that um, really truly do not practice the same way that the general mass does. Eh,
Hmm.
Islam's supposed to be peaceful, um, and I think a very
Mhm.
respectful religion. Um, and then you just have this cloud, this extremists, with this religion. But like I said this before too, it's not just Islam. It's in every religion. You're gonna have these extremists um paint the religion in a bad light.
Right.
Um, okay.
Yeah.
So in the hours before the shooting, Mateen used several Facebook accounts to write posts vowing vengeance for American airstrikes in Iraq and Syria and to search
Mhm.
for content related to terrorism. These posts, since deleted, were recovered and included in an open letter by Senate Homeland Security Chairman Ron Johnson to Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, seeking further information about Mateen's use of the site. During the shooting, Mateen made a 911 call claiming it was an act of retaliation for the airstrike killing of, among others, ISIS militant Abu Wahib in the previous month. He told the negotiator to tell America to stop the bombing. Despite numerous anonymous and named reports of LGBTQ connections, the FBI was unable to verify any claims that Mateen was homosexual or
Mhm.
frequent gay bars. I mean, again, just because
Mhm.
this person is coming into the Pulse nightclub and attacking them doesn't mean it's because he's gay too, so he's been here and he knows where to go. No, he's clearly, I don't know his process of picking Pulse. It could have been random. He could have targeted it because there is some homophobia there. He could have targeted it because he it's not hard to do a Google search and find out that Pulse does
Yeah.
um Latino nights on Saturdays.
Yeah.
He could have targeted it because of that.
Yeah.
There's many reasons why he could have targeted it, but I truly think trying to say he was gay too and he's frequented this club. is it's a far stretch. I don't think that's what's going on here. But we have to jump to that apparently. But anyways.
Mhm.
Um so yeah, where am I here? Okay. The FBI investigation found the witnesses claiming Mateen's homosexuality were mistaken or refused to go on the record and doubts that Mateen was gay. Law enforcement sources said the FBI found no photographs, text messages, smartphone apps, ugh,
Pornographic.
pornography. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Or cell tower location data to suggest Mateen lived a gay life, closeted or otherwise. On the day of the shooting, Mateen's father, Mir Sadiq Mateen, said that he had seen his son get angry after seeing a gay couple kiss in front of his family at the Bayside Marketplace in Miami months prior to the shooting, which he suggested might have been a motivating factor. There's the homophobia, y'all. Okay. 2 days later, after his son's sexual orientation became subject of speculation, Mateen's father said he did not believe his son was homosexual. Mateen's ex-wife, however, claimed that his father called him gay while in her presence.
Hmm.
Yikes.
Wow.
Speak what again,
That's that's
don't
crazy.
know if it's true,
Yeah.
but if he did, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking on her behalf, her current fiance said that she, his family, and others believed he was gay, and that the FBI asked her not to tell this to the American media. I have to say though, her current fiance, I'm going to assume didn't know Mateen uh, in any way. Is just going
Mhm.
off of things that she's saying. So I don't think there are a good source of information about this guy. Just saying.
Mm.
Um, during his wife's trial, in March 2018, her defense revealed an emotion that Mateen had Googled, quote, downtown Orlando nightclubs, and after passing Disney Springs, traveled between Pulse and the Eve Orlando nightclub before choosing to target Pulse. So his wife was sued too. I don't know criminally, but I'm going to assume. That's crazy. Okay. Um, Cell phone records indicate that the final selection of the Pulse appears to have been made based on the lack of security, not because it was a gay club.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Maybe, but no,
Yeah.
that's the only reason.
Yeah.
Trial witnesses said the decision to target Pulse was made at the last minute, and the defense's motion argued that this strongly suggests that the attack on Pulse was not a result of a prior plan to attack a gay nightclub. All right, the aftermath. Security camera video footage was recovered from the nightclub as part of the investigation, with a censored version later publicly released during the trial of Mateen's wife. Facebook activated its safety check feature in the Orlando area following the shooting, allowing users to mark themselves as safe to notify family and friends, the first use of the feature in the United States. Following the shooting, many business venues in the United States, such as shopping malls, movie theaters, bars, and concert halls, re examined their security procedures. Also, police forces across the country announced plans to increase security at LGBTQ landmarks such as the Stonewall Inn and at Pride Month events, including Pride parades. Which is why, I mean, and this is the States, I get it. But this is why we had such an uproar with here in Toronto when the police were basically like they were pulling out because of I can't remember the reasons why, but we talked about it, pulling out, years back
Right.
from the Pride Parade because it's like, where's the safety? Especially like right now too. I don't know if or when Pride Parade is happening in Toronto, only
Mhm.
because we have FIFA going on right now too.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah, we have FIFA, and,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go into when is it done? When is FIFA over?
I think we're sticking with FIFA for at least a month. Yeah, a month from when it
Mhm.
started
Wow.
last week. So we're gonna be with it for until July. But yeah, so with FIFA there is heightened police presence in Toronto.
Yeah, July
Um,
19th.
hmm?
July it finishes July 19th, 2026.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense, yeah. So, but yeah, like, perhaps the heightened presence of police, which is necessary, I get it, but it's like, okay, so we're doing that, which is great, but then pride also, brings in a crowd of people who are homophobe and have no issues hurting people that identify, as queer, so, where's their protection? It's just this is upsetting, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, but Sadiq Mateen,
Mhm.
dad of Mateen, released a Dari language video statement via Facebook on June 13th to speak about his son's actions. On the day of the attack, ISIS had released a statement via MK news agency taking responsibility for the attack, even though I'm sure they never heard of this person before, but that's us. We'll take that. Out of here.
Yeah.
Um, on June 13th, did I say that? No. On June 13th, a broadcast from the Iraqi ISIS radio station Al Bayan said
Mhm.
Mateen was, quote, one of the soldiers of the whatever, in America, without indicating any foreknowledge of the shooting, because of course they didn't know anything about it. Come on.
Mhm.
On September 10th, the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services fined G4S Secure Solutions $151,400 for providing inaccurate psychological testing information on more than 1,500 forms over a 10-year period, which allowed employees to carry firearms. Mateen's form was among those investigated, obviously.
Hmm.
On November 4th, it was reported that the Orlando Police Department was upgrading its equipment for officers following the shooting, since officers at the nightclub were not well equipped for the event and therefore endangered. The upgraded equipment included ballistic helmets and heavier ballistic vests. Following the shooting and a vehicle ramming attack and mass stabbing at Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio, a new federal initiative was launched, partially in response to at least one victim bleeding to death inside Pulse during the shooting. The initiative was designed to train people working at schools and other public places on how to treat injuries before paramedics arrive at the scene. Doctors have emphasized the importance for school faculty members to stay calm and assess injuries, but also discouraged the use of more invasive emergency procedures such as removing a bullet. Because, as I've learned after listening to a podcast episode about one of the presidents that got assassinated in back in the, I think, late 1800s, early 1900s, the
Mhm.
one
Mhm.
that went to New York and got shot by that guy. I can't remember his name. Um,
Mhm.
one should not just go digging around in a person's cavity to pull out a bullet because that guy, president, sorry, would have probably survived the attack
Mhm.
if it weren't for the fact that they were just having a grand old time in his cavity trying to find a bullet. So, yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Victim assistance
Mhm.
efforts now. I want to do that.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Mhm.
the FBI's Office of Victim Assistance provided information, assistance, services, and resources to the victims and witnesses of the shooting that, depending on their case by case eligibility, may have consisted of special funding to provide emergency assistance, crime victim compensation, and counseling. The OVA, again, that's the Office of Victim Assistance, through its Victim Assistance Rapid Deployment Team, and crisis response canines also provided help to responders of the shooting in the days following June 12th. Immediately after the shooting, many people lined up to donate blood at local blood donation centers and blood mobile locations when One Blood, a regional blood donation agency, urged people to donate. The surge in blood donations and the fact that the shooting occurred in a gay nightclub spotlighted the Food and Drug Administration's controversial federal policy that, and we've talked about this before,
Mhm.
that forbids men who have sex with men in the past year from donating blood. Something that I'm pretty sure is still happening to this day.
Mm.
Like, I mean, oh, God. Uh, That's that's all I gotta
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
It's just okay.
It is. It is.
Um,
It is what it is.
it
It's
is
a
what it is, but it's still
yeah.
because, like, because we've talked about it, it just goes right back to the AIDS epidemic
Mhm.
and thinking that, ooh, if a man is having sex with a man in the last year, which if you're gay, listen, they're having sex with a man in the last week, okay? So they'll never be able to donate. And it's it's ridiculous. I mean, the only way that maybe you could, as a person who identifies as, whether gay or bi, as a
Mhm.
man, is if
Mhm.
you're with a woman
Mhm.
only, and then maybe you can donate. Like, I just don't get how does that forget it.
Yeah.
Leave him
Just
let's keep moving
yeah.
before I
Yeah.
get mad again. Um Despite expressions of frustration and disapproval by a number of gay and bisexual men and LGBTQ activists across the country and a group of Democratic lawmakers urging the ban to be lifted, the FDA stated on June 14th that it had no plans to change the regulation and will reevaluate its policies as new scientific information becomes available. The you saying?
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know how it works for like PrEP. So that's what I'm pretty sure PrEP helps prevent people from contracting HIV. There is, as we've talked about, a separate drug that if you have HIV, you'll be undetectable. Now, I don't know how
Right.
that works when donating blood, if you already have HIV. But if you're taking the proper precautions to protect yourself by being on PrEP, and then, you should hopefully not be contracting anything, why can't you donate blood? Make it make sense.
You know, I don't know either. So yeah,
And
you
again,
it needs to make sense. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
again, you're targeting men who have sex with men, but again, me as a woman who also has sex with a man, I could get HIV. Knock on wood. There's no wood in my bedroom right now, but knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But it can happen. As we've said, HIV/AIDS is not a gay disease. So why is it okay? I choose not to donate blood because I get poked enough already as it is.
Mhm.
So I choose not to donate blood. But if I did choose to donate blood, or if I do it because, a family member needs that or something, if I can do it, why can't a why can't a man who has sex with another man or men do it too?
Mm.
Just doesn't make any sense. And then why can obviously a woman who has sex with another woman, why can they? Is it because I mean, TMI here, I'll be as diplomatic as possible, but is it because, like, nothing is being inserted into them by the other party? Like, it's ridiculous. Anyways, let's move past.
Yep.
So, a Victims Assistance Center, Orlando Family Assistance Center, was opened on June 15th inside Camping World Stadium by the city of Orlando. During the 8 days it was open, it provided help to 956 people from 298 families. Those remaining were then directed to the newly opened Orlando United Assistance Center, jointly set up by the city in Orange County, which, according to the mayor of Orlando, will stay open as long as there is a need. The two hospitals that treated Pulse victims, Orlando Regional Medical Center in Florida hospital announced in late August that they will not be billing the survivors or pursuing reimbursement. That's pretty awesome.
Hmm.
The city of Orlando offered free plots and funeral services at the city-owned Greenwood Cemetery for those killed in the shooting. Um, Equality Florida, the state's largest LGBTQ rights group, started a fundraising page to aid the victims and their families, raising $767,000 in the first 9 hours. As of September 22nd, 2016, they had raised over $7.85 million online, a record for a GoFundMe, with over 119,400 donors and an average of about $66 per donation.
Hmm.
Another fundraising campaign, One Orlando, was established by Mayor Buddy Dyer, the Walt Disney Company, and NBC Universal, which operate the nearby Walt Disney World Resort and Universal Orlando Resort, respectfully. Um, Respectively, I should say. Each donated $1 million to the fund. As of August 12th, One Orlando had raised $23 million, with a draft proposal to start payouts starting September 27th on a rolling basis, in which the highest compensations will go to the families of the 49 people who were killed, followed
Mhm.
by the 50 victims who were physically injured and hospitalized for one night or more. One Orlando's fund administrator said that the draft was not decided whether to pay people who were held hostage but were not injured, um, and will take public feedback in two 90-minute hearings to be held on August 4th. A timeline of the draft proposal was released. On August 11th, its board of directors decided that the fund will only be dispersed to the families of the dead, survivors who were hospitalized, survivors who sought outpatient medical treatment, and those who were present in the club when the shootings began but not physically injured, and that
Hmm.
family members and survivors can start filing claims until the September 12th deadline. As of December 1st, One Orlando paid out over $27.4 million to 299 recipients, according to officials, with 6 more claims worth an additional $2.1 million still being contested among family members of the slain victims.
Hmm.
IDW Publishing and DC Entertainment created Love is Love, a graphic novel sold to raise money for the victims. The novel became a New York Times bestseller, and more than $165,000 was raised. Through Equality Florida, the proceeds were donated to the One Orlando Fund. Um, okay, so
Mhm.
the release of the transcripts and the videos of that night, so cool, morning. A total of 603 calls to 911 were made by victims, family members, and friends of victims, bystanders, bystanders, and rescue workers during the entire shooting. On June 14th, 24 news agencies sent a 4-page letter to Orlando City Attorney jointly demanding the release of recordings that 911 callers made on the night of the shooting. The letter also contained a request for scanner and dispatch recordings. The Orlando police refused to release the recordings, citing an ongoing investigation. June 20th, the FBI released a transcript of the first call by the shooter and a summary of 3 calls with police negotiators. On July 14th, the University of Central Florida Police Department released 9 body camera videos of UCFPD officers who rushed to Pulse to help Orlando police officers during the incident.
Hmm.
On July 18th, the city of Orlando released a detailed 71-page document of OPD officers' accounts and responses to the shooting. Requests to release recordings of 911 calls, police radio transmissions, and the exchanges between the law enforcement and Mateen were denied, citing disagreements over whether they fall under local or federal jurisdiction. The status of the authority over the recordings is pending a court ruling. On July 20th, the Orange County Sheriff's Office released video footage from a body camera worn by one of its deputies during the incident. On July 26th, the Orange County Fire Rescue released a recording of a 911 call made during the shooting. On July 29th, the OCSD released dozens of pages of documents detailing the deputies' individual accounts of their involvement in the shooting. On August 30th, the OCSO released the 911 calls it received during the shooting. 2 days later, OPD and the city of Orlando released 9 of their hundreds of 911 calls, which were all made by friends and relatives outside of Pulse during the incident. The rest are locked in a legal dispute between 24 media groups, OPD, and the city of Orlando. So I'm just gonna go past that a little bit here. So let's go to the future of Pulse, kind of what happened to it after all of this. So on September 14th, 2016, the city of Orlando announced it would pay $4,518 to erect a new fence around the Pulse nightclub on September 19th. The fence would feature a commemorative screen wrap with local artwork that would serve as a memorial to the victims and survivors of the shooting. It will also be smaller than the nightclub's previous fence in order to allow for more efficient navigation by passersby. In November, the city of Orlando announced its plan to purchase the Pulse nightclub later that month for $2.25 million and turn the site into a memorial for the victims and survivors of the shooting.
Mm.
The announcement was met with praise from Orlando's LGBTQ community. The vote was postponed, with the city explaining that more time was needed to plan a future memorial and that there was some discomfort from city officials over having to pay such an amount of money. Pay the damn money. In December 2016, the owner declined to sell the nightclub to the city due to emotional attachment. The owner then created the One Pulse Foundation, and in May 2017, announced plans for a memorial site and museum originally slated to open in 2022. Wonder if that happened. In late October 2023, One Pulse's plans for the memorial and museum were permanently suspended. The city of Orlando approved a purchase of the site to convert the temporary memorial into a permanent one. In December 2023, Mayor Buddy Dyer announced an approach in which the city will utilize the existing 501c3 and establish the Orlando United Pulse Memorial Fund in an effort to raise funds for the permanent memorial. The fund will hope to raise from community donations, such as from local businesses, community organizations, and individuals. The plan is to open in 2027. So I'm definitely gonna update that next year to see if it actually does happen, because the fact that it hasn't happened and it's been 10 years since the shooting is crazy.
True.
That's crazy and so disrespectful. Oh, I want to talk about this. It's very quick. Um, because we talked about the shooter's wife, which I didn't realize there was any involvement with her. So let's see what happened here. So Mateen's second wife and widow, Noor Salzman, was arrested in January 2017 at her home in Rodeo, California. She was charged in federal court in Orlando with an aiding and abetting, wow,
Mhm.
as well as obstruction of justice. Federal prosecutors accused her of
Mm.
knowing that Mateen was planning an attack. Salman pleaded not guilty for the charges. Salman moved to dismiss the obstruction charge. The motion was denied by U.S. District Judge Paul G. Byron. Salzman's trial took place in March 2018. During the trial, the prosecution revealed it withheld information during discovery that Salzman's confession of helping scout potential attack locations was not true based on cell phone evidence, and that the FBI knew this even though it had been used to deny her bail. The
Mm.
defense also sought to dismiss the charges or declare a mistrial on Brady disclosure grounds after this disclosure and after the I mean, that's grounds as far as I'm concerned. That's a Brady
Mhm.
violation if I've ever seen one. And
Wow.
do you know what Brady means?
Um, no, I don't know what a Brady means.
Okay, so I don't have the full definition,
Well,
but
no, yeah. Sure.
essentially a Brady violation is essentially when like you have information that you haven't disclosed to the opposing side, you have to do that. So in any court case, whether civil or criminal, any evidence that you have or any information that you have has to be disclosed to the other side. You can't come in at the 10th hour and be like, "Oh, hey, I have this evidence that I never mentioned." That's a Brady violation.
Okay.
Um, so in this case, like they said, they had the information, but she could not have been involved in scoping out a location based on her cell phone evidence. They withheld that from defense. That's a Brady violation,
Yeah,
which
okay.
means they have grounds to have this the not the case necessarily well, they could get the case dismissed, but at least call for a mistrial. They have grounds for it. My God. That's ridiculous. Anyways,
So,
um,
yeah, you're saying that the Brady violation occurs when a prosecutor fails to share evidence with
yeah, or
victims
defense.
after
It
the
can go both ways.
okay.
It can go both
Alright,
ways. So,
cool.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, so, like, for example, like, the one case I can think of where defense has done it was, Paul Bernardo and Carla
Mhm,
Homolka.
mhm,
It was, I believe, his defense was it his? No, hers. Her defense attorney withheld the fact that they found the tapes
right.
that they recorded of the girls that they would ultimately kill. They withheld that information
Mm,
because it would have looked real bad to show, "Oh, hey, I found these tapes." And on
right.
the tapes, it is so clear that Karla Homolka is more involved than she said she was, but she had already made what we call the sweetheart deal. She already made that deal. So
Mm,
it would have looked real bad. She would have lost her deal. So that
so
is an example when defense withholds
I'm
information.
gonna take a guess this Brady violation happens, like, numerous of times in a lot of cases then.
Oh, well, it should not be happening. Counsel knows better. I don't think it happens as often as you think it does, but in these high profile cases,
Yeah.
yeah, they tend to happen. So, like, even, like, with the staircase, case,
Uh-huh.
um, which is I don't know if I don't think we've done an episode on that, but essentially, a husband found his wife at the bottom of the staircase. The defense said it was an accident. Prosecution said he killed her. You wanna know more and you don't know this case, which first of all, A, where have you been? Number 2, there is The Staircase on Netflix, 13 parts, go over there. Um, so so they believed if he did kill her,
Right.
that he killed her with a fireplace poker that Kathleen's sister had gifted the family with back in the '80s. Um, they didn't find the fireplace poker in their belongings at the house.
Mhm, mhm.
But during trial, where were you guys when when this came? Oh my gosh, it was so good. When they finally found the fireplace poker in the garage during trial, if defense didn't come forward with that fire poker, that would have been considered a Brady violation. They had to go forward and say, "Hey, I just need to say we didn't see it before. It's only
Okay.
now that the son found it, so here it is."
Nice.
That's a case where you're not withholding information, you
Uh-huh.
just found the information and you're bringing it forward. Yes, it's bad timing in that case, it was towards the end of trial, but still you're doing it.
Right. Okay.
When you're coming in after discovery and saying, "Oh, hey, I knew this, but I sat on it." Yeah, that's
Mm, okay, I see.
to fit
Right.
your narrative, basically.
Okay.
You can't do that. Um, so yeah, Brady disclosure grounds after this disclosure and after the prosecution disclosed during the trial that Sadiq Mateen, that's dad, had been a confidential FBI informant at
Mm,
various points in time. That's interesting. Between January 2005 through June 2016. The court denied Solomon's motion to dismiss the charges. What? Or declare a mistrial. The fuck? That's messed up. I don't understand. Okay. Um, hmm. I don't agree with that, but okay.
Hmm.
On June 30th, the jury acquitted Salmon of both charges, although the jury foreman said, quote, "We were convinced she did know about Mateen's plans for an attack of some sort in advance." I mean, again, as if my boyfriend was planning an attack of some sort,
Mhm.
I don't know how I could miss that. You know what I mean? I
Right.
don't know how I could miss that. Because again, I feel like there's so much that you can't like hide
Right.
in terms of personality, in terms of just your everything's just changing.
Mhm.
That alone, I would be thinking something is off, you know?
Yeah.
I know when my boyfriend isn't him, you know, I know when he's not himself.
Mhm.
Um, and I ask questions when I know he's not himself. Nothing like this though, but like I question and I ask him, "Are you okay? What's going on? Talk to me." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I just don't understand like if potentially these were drastic changes throughout or I personally think this is how he was before he was with her. So maybe she didn't see those signs, but I I just don't get how you don't know. And this is a person you live with. This is a person that
Mhm.
you have a child with.
Mhm.
I don't get it. I don't get how you don't know. Not saying she could have stopped him.
Mhm.
Not saying I mean, she should go to police, but, like, I'm not saying but again, um, I'm stealing this from a documentary, The False Prophet. I'm stealing this particular line from that, what I'm gonna say.
Right.
She could have gone to the police, sure, and said, "Hey, my husband is I think he's planning something." What if police didn't believe her?
Hmm.
What if they did go to him and they talked to him, but they believed him over her? And the line I'm gonna say here that I'm stealing from The False Prophet is, "Can one woman's scream be heard?" And I think history will say, "No. One woman's scream is not gonna get heard." You sometimes need a bunch of people to scream alongside with you, and even then, sometimes it's not enough. So,
Hmm.
I think she had to do what she had to do to survive for herself and for her son.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
that is Pulse Nightclub. I mean,
Right.
what do you think? Do you think it was a homophobic attack alongside a
Mhm.
terroristic attack? Like, curious what you think.
Me? Oh,
Well,
uh,
yes, you. Who else?
it's, uh, I think it's a homophobic attack, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a little touch of racism in there.
Yeah.
Well, because that comment about "I have nothing against black people," or whatever he the comment he used about black people, I'm just like,
Um,
that's a weird thing to say, uh, under these circumstances. I do definitely think this was a terroristic motivated crime
mhm.
primarily, um, but I do think they say he targeted Pulse because of security, but I personally think maybe yes, to some extent, sure.
Mhm.
But I also think he thought, "Hey, I kinda hate gay people too, so this seems to work out the best for me. I get to, in a sense, kill 2 birds with 1 stone." So I do
Right.
think terrorism was primary, but, uh, his homophobia was closely behind.
Right. No, yeah.
And I'm happy he's dead, bye.
Uh,
But, yeah, that is
um,
that is Pulse Nightclub.
all right. Thank you, Tanika. Thank you for that segment. If you guys haven't listened to the last 6 episodes of the Prime Month, go ahead and take a listen. As well as this episode, which is named Tanika.
Of the Pulse Nightclub mass shooting.
Yes. Uh, Take a listen to this as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I got well, you got anything else, Tanika, to say for
No, I don't think so.
what is the next episode? What is the next theme?
I'm pretty
Um,
sure I know which one it is, but let me just double check.
Yep.
Um, let's see. So the next Pride Month episode is going to be another tough one, but
Mhm.
it's going to be the Fox Hollow murders. I'm sure Mikkel does not know what that is, but we will get to it.
No, I don't know what that is. So like,
We'll
yeah.
get to it. It's a little Jeffrey Dahmer, but without the
Oh,
cannibalism. But
okay. I was,
without that. So we'll get to that. If anything, it might be worse in terms of victim count, but
mhm.
um we'll get to that. But before that, we are going to be doing the Netflix episode, so that will be coming between. So you'll get a little bit of a palate cleanser before
Screen take.
whatever. Screen
Yeah.
take, whatever. But yes, we'll be doing that. The part 2 for the bonus will also be coming, but I'm trying to decide when to do it.
Mhm.
So we'll figure that either Tuesday or Friday that will be coming. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's fine. All right. Okay. That's it. That's it for this episode. We'll see you guys later.
All right. Bye everybody.
Bye.
Hi everyone. I'm coming in at the end here with an article, of course, pride related at the end here. So this one is Gleb School cancels Pride Month drag queen storytime event. So an Ottawa elementary school says it will not be moving forward with a planned drag queen storytime event in observance of Pride Month due to, quote, questions about curricular alignment. In an email to parents obtained by CTV News Ottawa, Principal Sandy Miller and Vice Principal Mark Leberte of Muchmore Public Elementary School say the presentation, scheduled for June 19th, was intended to promote literacy and themes of equity, diversity, and visibility in a unique and memorable way. The school added it remains committed to fostering an inclusive and welcoming environment for all students. Quote, we continue to support and direct our efforts to integrate the core themes of acceptance, diversity, and belonging directly into our daily practice and reinforce these values consistently throughout the school year in alignment with the Ontario curriculum. Another email sent to parents earlier in the month said the school would be welcoming Adriana Expose, the second time the drag performer has participated in a similar event at the school. Drag Storytime is not a theatrical performance, the letter sent on June 1st. In each Storytime session, Miss Expose will read aloud an age-appropriate picture book chosen by your child's teacher that focuses on love and celebrating our differences. The goal is to foster a love of reading through acceptance in a unique and engaging way. I think this is a great idea. In an email, Expose confirmed she had participated in similar events at Muchmore and other Ottawa schools. Expose says the cancellation was due to parental pushback, but didn't provide more details. Faye Johnstone, executive director of Queer Momentum, says drag can be a good way for students to learn about inclusion. Quote, I think it's simply disappointing. Agreed. You know, kids deserve to learn about inclusion, about different families, and what better way to do so than with an incredible entertainer. Parents who are concerned deserve to be heard, and I actually think if we were to have a conversation with those parents, if they would actually meet a drag performer and see the really lovely energy that comes out of those events, I imagine they might actually feel differently. Much More is located in Ottawa's Glebe neighborhood and enrolls over 400 students from junior kindergarten to grade 6. The school is part of the Ottawa Carleton District School Board. CTV News Ottawa reached out to the board for comment but did not receive a response. The board's website says all schools are encouraged to participate in Pride Month, but notes activities will differ from school to school. All OCDSB buildings and schools are flying the Pride flag this month. A drag queen is a performer, because we need definition on a drag queen. Usually a man, known to dress up in bright makeup and colorful costumes while playing with gender roles and cultural stereotypes. Drag queens are largely tied to LGBTQ culture and its prominent feature of many Pride events. Similar storytime events have received pushback from anti-LGBTQ groups and some parents who believe they are not age appropriate. Ugh. A drag storytime at the National Arts Center in 2023 brought out hundreds of protesters and counter-protesters. I hate it here. But anyways, that is the article, and that is the end of the episode. As mentioned, you will be either getting the bonus episode on Tuesday or Friday to try to figure out the best timing. And then you will actually, we'll see how it goes. If not that, then you'll be getting the Netflix episode, which will be next on Wednesday. And then the second Pride episode for this week will be on Thursday. But yeah, that is it. Bye, everyone. If you liked what you heard with our podcast, you can head on over to our website, which is solo.to/next take podcast. There you can get any of the links to any of our social media, which is Facebook, Instagram at Next Take Podcast, and Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Next Take Pod. You can also find links to our Reddit page and many other things, I'm sure. Can't remember all off the top of my head. You can also email us at mikeltanyka@gmail.com. There you can send us any inquiries you have, any questions, or also any episode ideas. And if you do have episode ideas, just make sure you put in the subject line episode ideas, and we'll add it to our list. If you also liked us, you can like us, rate us, follow us on any of your favorite podcast apps. You can rate us, however, on Spotify and Apple Podcast. We would greatly appreciate that. And we'll also move forward and share or spot a light on those who give us 5-star ratings in the future. That is it for us. We'll see you next time for the episode.